Now, over the last week, our transfer team have been putting together our free agent 11. I think it's fair to say it caused plenty of arguments. It caused Dave Reed, the manager, to get loads of criticism, but he is standing by every single one of his selections. This was the free agent 11 that the team came up with, but now the power is yours. This is now your free agent 11. How much will you agree or disagree with Dave's selections? Well, we tweeted earlier 4 options to fill this left-back position. The transfer team pitched one of those players each, and you have been voting for who you want in your side. So these were the 4 options for you. Martin Olsen, Philip Louise, Ashley Cole and Alexander Butner. Plenty of you getting involved on Twitter using that hashtag transfer talk. And I can now reveal that filling that left-back position, it is Philip Louise. 71% of the vote. 15,000 of you getting involved. He goes straight into your free agent 11. It is shaping up rather nicely, I have to say. I can say this because I'm not Dave Reed. I'm not comparing it to his team. But I think this one is winning so far. We are going to move on to the midfield positions tomorrow. Get your suggestions coming in at Sky Sports News. Use the hashtag transfer talk. So guys, Philip Louise going into the team. Do I need to ask who pitched that one? I think we can work it out. That was JD's choice, of course. Yeah, Dave will be back tomorrow. He'll be back in charge, just to let you know. But yeah, let us know your suggestions for that midfield position. We are going to move on. I thought you were going to say more. I thought you were going to say more.
I'm 2 for 2 right now. Just keep it humble. Just keep moving to the Makalele position tomorrow. Wait for it.
Humbly dancing.
Yeah.
Humbly dancing. That is a humble dance, right? Let's get more from Arsenal now. Unai Emery has been speaking about their potential loan signing, Dani Ceballos. This is what Emery said. Ceballos is a very good player. I know him from Real Betis at the beginning and Real Madrid. He played very well in the under-21s. His national team won the competition. He can play as a number 8 or a number 10. So yeah, Emery is saying Ceballos a very good player. This one does look likely to go through as a loan deal. Emery rating him. Is this one for Arsenal fans to be pretty happy about if it happens, JD?
Yep. I think I would look at it as an Arsenal fan, if I had the absence of Ramsey leaving on a free to go to Juventus last year, the first thing that they probably would have wanted to see was that gap filled, and bringing in a player that can play that 8, play that 10, has proven to say that he wants to go and get assists, create chances for his team. That's exactly what they needed, especially so early and within the market. I know it's a loan deal.
The deal.
I know it's a loan.
The deal's the problem, isn't it? The deal is one thing that kind of kills that excitement, because effectively what they're doing is taking a team from the Champions League, taking their player, improving him, and then going, right, you can go back, because there's no view to buy this and make this permanent.
Okay.
So, you know, well done. So Real Madrid either get a better player back, or they can sell him for more next summer. I mean, that's the economics around it. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He looks like an exceptional player that could do a hell of a lot at Arsenal, but you know, there is that sort of short-termism behind this move.
The aspect of it, though, is that you have a player who's chosen to play for a team because of his relationship with the manager. Yeah. Imagine that relationship a year on. Imagine that relationship a year on of working with Emery, working within his system. So he's chosen to say, I want to manage, I want to be played under Unai Emery.
And I suppose a year on where Arsenal would hopefully be back in the Champions League as well. So that might change things. I mean, we talk about him playing so well at the Euro Under-21s. He was the player of that tournament, someone who had the most chances created, the most take-ons, the most fouls won. And like you said, yes, Arsenal need reinforcements at the back, but this Aaron Ramsey gap is a massive one, and they need that filled. They need a real creative player who can kind of pick out a pass, thread the ball through for the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang.
Who's going to get the goals from midfield at Arsenal right now?
Right now, with this team right here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of pressure on Ceballos, and I think that's also where the Zaha links come from.
Ozil and Mkhitaryan. I'm not saying that's the answer, but you've got 2 experienced international European campaigners there, and effectively what you're saying is we're going to bring in a highly rated youngster, but a youngster all the same, to come in on day one and probably play in your role.
But maybe that's what someone like Ozil needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Arsenal fans, let us know what you think. Hashtag transfer talk. We do understand Arsenal are still keen to sign Wilfried Zaha. You mentioned him there, JD, and Kieran Tierney. Emma, what is the latest with these?
Well, I feel like something we keep talking about, these players. So Arsenal have not given up on signing Wilfried Zaha, and one source close to us at Sky Sports News have told us that they will make another bid for him this week. Palace are refusing to sell him to Arsenal unless their £80 million valuation is met. Arsenal have already had one bid of 40 million rejected in this window, which we already know about. Another one rumbling on is their pursuit of Celtic defender Kieran Tierney. Arsenal struggling to complete this deal. Celtic believe Arsenal's second offer of 18 million plus 7 million in add-ons is unrealistic because the additional payments are linked to Champions League qualification. And what about William Saliba? Well, we understand Arsenal are close to agreeing a deal with Saint Etienne for the defender. And another one we talked about where this deal would actually see him return to the French club on loan.
Yeah, you mentioned that kind of pay structure for the Tierney potential move. Is this a case of Arsenal perhaps paying the price a little bit again for their failure to qualify for the Champions League, given that Celtic are kind of using that as an excuse to say, you know what, you're not meeting the valuation because we're not taking it with these add-ons?
Celtic have to be fair within their own valuation of their player. I mean, right now, Kieran Tierney is their player. So Arsenal putting in those incentives, they're not guarantees. They're not guarantees. And historically, recent history has proven that, to be honest, those incentives don't really mean that much right now. So I understand the ambition from the club to get back into Europe's top competition, but Celtic have to take that into consideration when they're actually considering whether or not to sell the player or not. That's fair on their part.
Yeah. Let's move on to Manchester City now and a development involving Leroy Sane. Again, another player that we keep talking about. We understand that City still have no interest in negotiating the sale of Sane to Bayern Munich. That's despite Sky Germany reporting that Bayern have held positive discussions with the players' representatives in the last 24 hours. Our colleagues in Germany have been told that there has been movement in the last day or so, but City sources have told Sky Sports News that there have been no talks between the clubs and they haven't received a bid. So some kind of conflicting information there. In terms of Leroy Sane, I mean, it's a bit of a stay or go situation. Should he stay? Should he go? Do you think he'll stay? Sounds like City want him to stay.
Sounds like City are really confident that they're going to get him to sign a new contract, and that's the key here. The two sides have been in talks for about 18 months about getting a new deal signed, and it just hasn't happened. And while that is still an issue, other clubs will sniff blood and just go for it and try to get him out. The problem is, I don't actually think Leroy Sane is unhappy. He's just trying to get the best deal for himself, like every footballer's entitled to. Leroy Sane is an excellent footballer who we could be talking about in a year's time as being even better than he is now. You know, that's the trajectory he's on. Last year was seen as a quiet year, and yet he's still got 10 assists in the Premier League. Like, this is, you know, if that's a down season, I'll take that for any players at my club. I mean, this is still seen as a really exciting player. That is still one of the best in Europe and in his position. That, of course, like Manchester City aren't going to let him go. Of course, they don't want to talk to anyone about it.
Is this not a thing where Sane needs to come out and say something? Because we saw with Bruno Fernandes, who was talking to a reporter before getting on the plane to go on a pre-season tour. Leroy Sane could come out and end the whole conversation, or you know, it could be a case of where he keeps the discussion rumbling on with what he says.
Economically, that completely nullifies your bargaining position. So if you say, I want to stay, they're like, well, if you want to stay, accept our offer. If you suggest that there is other interest and you might want to leave, by saying nothing, then of course you might get more money because you might get more money to stay.
Especially by how aggressive Hassan Salihamidzic is as a director for Bayern Munich. He's been very, very vocal about wanting to get a European star to kind of fill that void that's left by those two wingers. I mean, we've seen the pursuit of Callum Hudson-Odoi beforehand, and now it seems Leroy Sane is their attention. So they're not going away. They understand that they need to fill that void, and it's up to Manchester City to make their player feel comfortable.